Welcome back, folks, to the final episode of 1AA Parlays for the season on the FCS Fans Nation Network. I'm your host, Colby Peterson, and joining me after surviving a weekend in Nashville, one, the only Montana Parlay. Parlay, tell the story about that jersey you're wearing, man, because that's a Nashville gem right there.
To the fella who gave me this jersey for a Bobcat polo, I don't know if that's a good trade monetarily. We ended up working out for both teams. Worked out for both teams. But let's just say this. I was at Tootsie's in Nashville on Sunday night. Had my yellow Bobcat polo, gold Bobcat polo on. And after the Bobcat Bash, where 7,000 people went into the Radio Music Hall and got together, had a little fun. He sees me. I want that. Jersey swap. So we started taking our shirts off in the middle of the bar, and I think it was his girlfriend got a little upset. Didn't want it to happen. So about 15 minutes later, I saw him again. I said, "Hey, come over here." And we ended up doing a jersey swap. The old Chris from who used to be with Tubbs at the club, who's with Idaho now, he has some pictures. I think he sent them to more people than I'd care to admit. I had my shirt off in the bar. I'm not in the best shape anymore, but I got myself a Caleb Williams jersey, and the Bobcats and the Bears won. So, dude, if your girlfriend if you somehow see this and you're in big trouble, as soon as the Bears win the Super Bowl, mail me the Bobcat shirt, and I promise to mail this back. I'm held accountable here to the hundreds or dozens of people that are going to be watching this. So if you mail me, find me, DM me, mail me that shirt, I'll mail this back. Don't want you to get in trouble.
Man, I might make a burner and just message you and be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm that guy." Mail me that shirt. Yeah, dude. Well, good, man. I mean, it sounds like, based on the photos and everything, it looks like Nashville was a good time for everybody. It's a great place to, like you said, to spend a weekend, and obviously the game was incredible, which we'll talk a little bit about. Probably the best national championship game I've watched in the last 10 years. So great game. It was fun to watch on TV, all that good stuff, but we'll talk about that. But let's talk a little bit about, before we get into the natty and the game and all of that, let's end on let's open this up to this playoff run that Montana Parlay had. Let's talk a little bit about how clean Parlay's picks was throughout this run. Parlay hit the people with the facts on Parlay's picks throughout the playoffs this season.
Well, it just comes down to I went undefeated every week except for the semifinal. And so I think I ended up 7-1. That makes people money. That's how we're able to afford Nashville. I spent an extra night in Nashville. You keep saying weekend. I was there for 5 nights. So, it ended up, and we ended on I came back. A lot of people would think, okay, he lost one. He's going to lose the last one. I went with over 56.5. We both said Illinois State would cover the 10.5. So we were both right. Plus the pick, the bet, it hit, and it just was a hell of a run in the playoffs. I picked my spots. I didn't pick 4 games every week. I think I went 3 in the first, 2 in the second, then 1, 1, 1, I think is how it went. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 1. So, hell, it was a great run, and I had other bets in between. Yeah. Like I said last time, it's really hard to make your picks on Tuesday. I know it's Wednesday today, but we were mostly running our pods on Tuesdays, and we still went 7-1, and I still added winners after the fact. Natty time, without talking too much about the game, I hit every bet except for one. I had the over multiple times. I had Illinois State plus 10.5, parlayed with the over. I had Bobcats first half minus 6.5. And then the big one, not the big one. The only one I missed was I'm at Bobcat Bash. The line had opened at 9.5. It got as high as 12.5, maybe a little higher in some spots. Then it settled in at 10.5. And then the money was moving the juice a little bit. Well, when I'm at Bobcat Bash, they had a little QB section where you throw the ball. It was a legit. Well, I was probably a junior size ball, not small, but middle school, high school, something like that. And you throw it through the holes, whatever. It's like a big target. I step back from about 20 yards, boom, right through the middle, just one and done. I moved down. They had a field goal set up. All right. Inflatable field goal. It's not quite regulation, but it wasn't like a kiddie one. I stepped back with my cowboy boots, drilled it right down the middle, field goal. I'm like, all right, I got to bet the Bobcats. So I looked it up. Bobcats were minus 10.5 plus 100. That was the best line I'd seen since the opening line. So I had to put half a unit on it. And I did lose that one. But at the end, Bobcats won the game. The big bets won. The parlays won. So even though I almost had a heart attack, and we'll get into what could have happened and what probably should have happened in that game, but overall, it was a winning weekend.
Yeah, nice run by Montana Parlay in the Music City. But overall, like Parlay said, nice run for Parlay's picks throughout the playoffs. Made plenty of money. Only missed on a couple. So next season when we get going, folks, listen to Montana Parlay. He knows a couple things about where to put the money. But before we talk about the game, I do want to talk a little bit about Nashville because obviously I'm familiar. Lived in Nashville for 3 years. Know a fair bit about it. Parlay, what you think? I mean, we've both been to Frisco. We've both been in Nashville. I obviously wasn't there for the Natty's festivities, but I've lived in Nashville. I know what it's about. Been to Frisco for the National Championships festivities. Compare the two. What did you think about Nashville versus Frisco?
That's, that was the talk of the weekend. And everyone loved Nashville. And some of us were down on Frisco. We love, you kind of, when you're with everyone, the people you talk to all year long, the podcast guys, the FCS community, other football fans. I had cousins out there, other friends from Montana. You can have fun anywhere, right? But Nashville is just so much better. My line of the weekend was, I'm spending 10 times as much money as I did in Frisco, but I'm having 100 times more fun. So it's a hell of a value. And not everyone had to do what I was doing. I sang with a band twice in the bars. I was tipping everyone. I took over the piano bar on Saturday night. There's videos out there of me leading the Tina Turner dancers, awkward Bobcat fans I picked out from the crowd. So, of course, the Moni back when it wasn't just the most tiresome song of all time. Friday and Saturday, paying some random band or some solo singer-songwriter $20 to sing Moni at some random bar on Broadway in the middle of the day was the greatest thing ever. And come Sunday and Monday, it was like, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear the song. And if you say Grizz during the part, I'm going to smack you in the face. And for the most part, I kind of controlled the narrative on that where I was at because I'm kind of loud. But I lost that narrative at a few places, including Tootsie's the night I got this jersey. And I was like, okay, fine. Talk about our rival during championship week, whatever. We still won. And I met a guy in the bar, and he said, you know what? At Red Sox games, they say Yankees suck, no matter who we're playing. So this whole thing where the Grizz pretend we're the only little brothers out there, we're the only ones who do that, that's a bunch of BS. So get over it. But, our fans need to get over it too. Why am I talking about that? Nashville is awesome. everything's walkable. In Frisco, everything's a
Sort of.
15 to 20-minute Uber ride.
Yeah.
And in Nashville, you walk up and down Broadway. Hell, me and my cousin walked to Topgolf. We took the long route. That wasn't advisable.
You walked over to Germantown over there?
Yeah. We walked.
I love Germantown. That's like my favorite neighborhood, man. I think it's great over there.
The next time I go, I need to spend more time in the neighborhoods. I did go out to a karaoke bar on Tuesday night when I stayed solo. But we walked to Vanderbilt. Beautiful, beautiful campus.
Yeah.
So Friday night, Nashville's awesome. Saturday night, Nashville's awesome. Sunday, Bobcat Bash. My cousin and I played pickleball. The Union Hotel is gorgeous. We checked that out. Sunday night, it's awesome. I stayed out till 2 or 3 every night. And then we get into the stadium. And that's where being in the stadium and seeing, having a football stadium is nice. But that's where Frisco is much better. Their stadium is so much more accessible as far as how to move around, how to go get concessions. It took me and other fans 15 to 20 minutes to move 10 to 20 yards inside that stadium. The entrance ramps from the very narrow corridors, like it was impossible to move around in there. The entrance ramps were as wide as my wingspan. So you had thousands of people. And if people are going out, no one could come, or going in, no one could come out, and vice versa. So good luck trying to go to the bathroom at the beginning of the game. You weren't. And then they weren't checking seating. So people just kind of came down. And I felt bad for the old timers because, everyone stood the whole time, which is fine. But there were fans next to us standing on their seats. I don't want to spend too much time talking about those fans, but they were out-of-state Bobcat students, supposedly. I don't see how they'll ever graduate because they were morons. But they were belligerent and drunk and cursing at people were just getting really upset. And they were blocking everyone behind. And me and the people I were with tried to reason with them. We did get into a verbal spat with them. But, that ruined the vibe a little bit. It almost felt like the blackjack table where the vibe is bad and then the cards turn against you. That's kind of how it felt in the second half. Luckily, that didn't end up mattering. But bottom line, the city of Nashville, 100 times better than Frisco and North Dallas. The stadium at Vanderbilt needs a lot of work. That the end zones are cool and they spent millions of dollars renovating, but the sideline stands, especially the visitor side, were brutally terrible as far as logistics goes. But overall, Nashville,
A+.
I can't see fans ever wanting to go back to Frisco.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's just a fundamentally different place. Nashville is built for that kind of a thing. They just built a new stadium across the river, so the Titans are going to have a new stadium next season, and they want the Super Bowl, right? And so you can clearly see how the city is doing what it can to have big events like this one and eventually the Super Bowl, because that's what they aspire to. And so that's the reason that they built the stadium the way that they did. If you've seen SoFi Stadium, if you've watched the Super Bowl in the last few years, you've seen SoFi Stadium. It's going to be kind of similar. But yeah, Nashville is a city that wants people to come. I mean, for years, whoever was playing Vanderbilt that weekend, whatever SEC team, their fans would invade downtown because they all wanted to go and party in Nashville and watch their team trounce Vanderbilt. Usually, that's obviously changed. Diego Pavia has moved on, but things have changed a bit at Vanderbilt. They're not the doormat that they once were, even beating Tennessee this year, which is a big win for them because a lot of people will say that Nashville's not really, they're not really gold and black. It's orange. So, yeah. But overall, like you said, it's far less spread out. Now, Nashville can be spread out. I mean, if you get in a car, there are lots of places you can go, like over to East Nashville or whatever. But in terms of a cohesive downtown area where there are places to hang out and eat and stay, it is much better than Frisco is, where Frisco is just not. It's just not that kind of place, right? Like it's much more spread out. Even today, like if you were to go and stay at Frisco, there are. I mean, you'll get in the car and you'll drive, and there are just like blocks of just open space still, trying to get to Toyota Stadium or whatever, right? Nashville's not that way.
Let's put it this way. If there's not a natty, would you ever take your family? Would you ever ask your friends? Would you ever take your buddies for a bachelor party to Frisco?
No. Right. Like if the natty hadn't been in Frisco, I would never have gone there. Period. Like Dallas is just not on my list of places that I want to go. And, I drove there from Nashville. And so it's just not on the list, at all. But
Yeah, so
like you said, I mean, but that's another area where Nashville has Frisco beat, right? Where it's like, hey man, bachelor and bachelorette parties all day. You guys probably heard a lot about Woo Girls down there in downtown. Heard all about that? Yeah.
and that brings up a good point because some of the talk was, okay, it's going to be better, probably more expensive, and it was.
Yeah.
There were
Yeah,
certain bars where Coors Light $9, and you're like, what the hell?
for Coors? Yeah, man. Like,
but it was Frisco's rolling out the red carpet, especially for the Bison, and then eventually South Dakota State, and then they even had Montana State bars by the second time we were there. Nashville, it's a slow time. That is a slow weekend. You're not seeing the Woo Girls. We saw a couple small groups, but without the Bobcat faithful, it would have been a dead weekend in Nashville. But we filled those damn bars. Everyone was commenting on it. Hotel staff, bar people, there were still some stragglers from one of the bowl games that was there at the Titan Stadium. Everyone was commenting on the Bobcat fans. There was maybe 2 Redbirds a day, Friday, Saturday. Some of them started coming in Sunday. They had a decent crowd. On TV, it looked like they had a lot more than they did because they kept showing the home side and they had the home side. Bobcats had 75% of that stadium, at least 70%. So, but as far as the Broadway Street, Bobcats had about 98% of that, if not more. So Montana brought it to Nashville, and I think if there were less expensive ways to get there, or if the drive was less than 12 hours, it's 25 or more, there would have been a lot more people there. So, over that whole question is, will Nashville cater to the FCS fan? I think they will, even more so next year, because next year is the last year before they bid again. And I think the economic impact we bring to Nashville is going to be pretty significant as FCS fans. Now, it might mean more, I'm just throwing out random numbers here, but 10 million to Frisco might mean a lot more than 15 million to Nashville. But I could see Nashville putting in a very competitive bid for the years going past next year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Nashville, absolutely, if they really wanted to keep the game, they could definitely put in a competitive bid. You saw they have the infrastructure to kind of hold that kind of thing. Like we've already talked about, it's used to kinds of things like this. So, I mean, the difference here is that they're not used to having big games at Vanderbilt Stadium. I mean, no dig on the Commodores at all, but it's like it's not normally a place where they play a bowl game or anything like that. Like this is easily the biggest game that stadium has held in a long time. But there have been bigger events, and Nashville regularly holds fairly good size events, right? And like I said, they have an eye toward the Super Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, iFlair knows what's. You're saying, yeah, they want to put on show, get the Super Bowl. Yeah, they absolutely do. That's why they built that stadium on the other side of the Cumberland River. All right, so overall, Nashville, better experience than Frisco. We'll see what next year brings. But now let's give Parlay one last opportunity this season to preach to the people from his pulpit. Parlay, hit the people with some FaceTime and tell them what it's about.
Well, we'll talk about the game a little bit after this, but this could be one of those things that's online more than it is in real life. But there's the comments of like, if the Bison wouldn't have choked, or if this or that wouldn't have happened, Illinois State, that's why the Bobcats won. If Bobcats would have been playing any other team the way they played in the second half, they would have lost. Illinois State's the second best team. All right. In fact, with a little bit of better coaching at the end, there might be the best team. They have got absolute studs on that team. Remember, they didn't lose some fluke game to the Bison. They outgained them by 300 yards in Fargo. So all this talk about, the Redbirds got, they pulled off a game. They slipped one past Fargo or past the Bison, or, if they would have had to go this or do that. They are a great ball club. Victor Dawson was crushing. He had 126 yards. Dylan Lord, 161 yards on 13 receptions. Daniel Sopkovich, he was doing well. I mean, they had dudes on that team. Rittenhouse, like I said, he's a gunslinger. He can be hit or miss, but he had over 300 yards, 4 TDs, no interceptions. Again, it's their kicking game and their coaching that kept them from winning the Natty. But if you're saying that this was a fluke team, they threw people off the scent in that Southern Illinois game. That can happen in college with college kids. But when they came together and played ball, they played ball. And they were and are the second best team in the FCS. And it wasn't a cheap championship won by the Bobcats. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whoever wins it all wins it all. So that's just what I have to say. Is I've seen too many comments on, if this wouldn't have happened, that would have happened. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. And Bobcats won, and Illinois State put up one hell of a fight.
All right. That's Parlay's final preaches session of the season. You're right. There were a couple of key things that held the Redbirds back in that second half that kept them from hoisting the trophy at the end of the game that worked out in the Bobcats' favor. But I think that that's what made the game so good, was that it looked like for a moment that maybe this one's over. Maybe the Bobcats have this in hand. The Redbirds aren't going to be able to answer, but they did what they've done throughout the playoffs, which was answer when they were struggling, right? Because, I mean, I agree with you. It wasn't necessarily that they got lucky one time. I mean, friends, they played every single one of their games on the road the entire playoffs, even the national championship game, which is a neutral site game, obviously. But everything was on the road for them. They did not play at home once. And that's a hard thing to do in the FCS, man. It's a really hard thing to do, to go on the road and beat the teams that they beat. Really impressive run. And I think they've seen a few folks depart, but some key pieces. I think that Dawson kid is staying. Didn't I see that? But
plugged in. I know the key ones that are coming back for the Bobcats.
Taco's coming back.
Yeah, Taco, his brother, Lamson, and Adam Jones are all coming back.
Does Lamson have eligibility? I didn't know if he had any more.
He does. He's got one more year. So that's huge. And, can they repeat? That's always tough. I mean, the disease of more, so to speak, to where it's really being the underdog, being told there's no way you're going to win it with Tommy gone. You lost to South Dakota State at home. There's no way you're not going to have home field through the playoffs. It doesn't matter. The Bison are going to win it all. The Grizz, they almost won the brawl. They're going to come into Bozeman and look even better. That type of game plan that's easier to keep people motivated then I already won. Every girl on campus wants to talk to me because I'm a national champion. I'm 21 years old in Bozeman, Montana. I was 21 years old in Bozeman, Montana. I never won a national championship shit, and I didn't survive. I dropped out of college. I was having too much fun. So keeping student athletes or athletes in general, look how hard it is to repeat in the NBA, the NFL. It's really hard. It takes special types of people, the Michael Jordans, the Tom Brady's, to repeat. Okay. So it'll be interesting to see how the Cats handle that. They've got to completely reload in the secondary on defense, but that seems like they have to every year. But they've got their core offensive players back. And so far, knock on wood, they've got Vegan back. So that'll be interesting. And then it's really going to be a top-heavy league like it always is. So, Illinois State surprised some people, but they were, the second best Valley team when it came down to it. They threw people off the scent with the SIU game, but they were competing every week. They were beating good teams. They had good talent, but they didn't have – I don't know. Let's talk real quick. I don't want to be on here all night without picks to pick. But on TV, what did it look like? The false starts. Everyone's talking like, was it the center was moving? They had 9 of them. What in the heck was going on there with the Bobcats?
Yeah, I think 9 total, was it? 9 false starts for the Bobcats in that game?
Yeah.
Is that what it ended up being? Yeah, I wondered part of that if it was, I'm sure noise was a factor, right? Because sometimes, like you said, even though the stadium was 75-25, sometimes fans are uninitiated, and they're just excited and they make noise when they should not. And, they're being loud when their offense is on the field and it creates undue noise that should not be there. Credit to Redbird fans to making the noise when they were clearly outnumbered, But I also wondered how much of that was just a referee's decision to keep calling that.
Focusing on something.
Right, yeah, that okay, this is a thing that we're going to say is causing this, and so we're going to keep throwing that flag because it added up. There were key moments, especially in the second half, where it cost them, or I think at least created some shakiness, I guess, in some of those drives. But yeah, ultimately there were some key calls on the Illinois State side that really kind of made the difference, not going for it on 4th and 1, deciding to kick the ball, which if you're in a normal situation and you have a normal kicker, it's not like he was going to kick this, like he was going to have to boot this insane field goal, like they were in okay field position. It's just that was not their normal kicker, that's not, what was the guy, a soccer player or something like that? Like it was his first game.
They've had 5 block kicks this year.
Yeah, and 2 key ones, right? Like just 2 massively key blocked kicks during crunch time, and that's the difference, right? Because you're right. Like if they go for it on 4th and 1 and they probably get it, they just hand the ball to Dawson, who had a pretty good day so far, or if not, you draw up something that has Rittenhouse run the ball. The game is over, right? If you get that conversion on 4th and 1, the game is over. Because now at this point, you're running clock, and man, you just there's not going to be enough time to answer, especially where now it's like you get another fresh set of downs and you're probably punching it in. But
that was the one that it took me 2 days to not fixate on. There was a time earlier in the game where the Bobcats just couldn't get that 3-score lead. So I never felt that comfortable. When we went up two scores quick, it felt like, all right, here we go. But throughout the game, when we couldn't get that 3-score lead, I just never felt comfortable because Illinois State kept fighting and fighting. There was one time it was 3rd and 10, they were just past midfield. They were in Bobcat territory. And what I don't understand is how coaches, they go all or nothing on 3rd and 10. When you're 3rd and 10 in enemy territory and you're in the no man's land where you can't punting doesn't make much sense and kicking the field goal way too damn far, especially in college. You go for 4 to 6 yards on third down, and then you go for it on fourth and short. But no, they go for it all on 3rd and 10. And they punt on 4th and 10, and they kick a touchback, and they gain 15 yards of field position. To me, that's idiotic, number one. Then at the end of the game, Bobcats are gassed. It's 78 plays to 48 plays.
Yeah, that defense was gassed at the end of that game.
Just gassed. They've got 4th and 2 feet. It's not even 4th and 1. And they go up to the line, and I'm like, we lost. They're going to come up and get first down, and it's over. They call timeout, and I'm literally practicing like, all right, what do I do after this? How do I avoid getting in a fight with these unruly fans? Or these Illinois State fans were a little on edge, like we're the underdogs. No one, you guys don't respect us. I was going to have to avoid all that, all the people I'm with not mouthing off, just try not to. It's like, oh, fuck, I can't believe we're losing this game. They line it up. I'm like, all right, if we stop them, maybe we can stop them. Maybe we can stop them. And I was so like pumped up for that stop on 4th and 2 feet that I didn't realize they lined up for a field goal until it was being snapped and then blocked.
Yeah, Justin made a good point. Doing. Those snaps were weird. That and the extra point, both those snaps were weird.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You look at all the things that were going on. They had 78 plays that our defense was on the field.
Yeah.
They had gotten a 4th and goal earlier. Rittenhouse made an awesome throw. Dawson has been running over our ass. Okay, they're controlling the line of scrimmage.
Lord in the second half is just a man outside of himself, right? Like just so many big plays from him.
55 seconds left. If they don't get it, it's still tied. If they kick the field goal, the Bobcats could get a touchdown to win it. So none of it made sense to kick it. This is all before I knew they had a bad kicking game. They came into the game with a shaky kicking game. If I would have known how poor their kicking game was, I would have thought they were idiots for kicking the extra point in overtime. Go for 2, put the pressure on the Bobcats. That makes it a totally different game too. But that 4th and 1, I'll still never get over it. There's still the old timers. Oh, they have to kick it. They have to kick it. That coach took the game out of Rittenhouse's hands. He took the game from Dawson. And I don't know, like if I'm Tommy, I'm still pissed about that. You would have had to drag me off that field. That is the most absurd coaching decision I've seen since Matt LaFleur had the Green Bay Packers kick a field goal down 8 when it was 4th and goal from the 8 or 9, whatever it was. So then Tom Brady gets the ball and runs out the clock. It's just that type of coaching it blows my mind. I don't get it. People say I can't be harsh enough. You lost the damn game because you did the wrong thing. It's a simple statistical, strategic thing. You control the clock. You trust your offense. You saw what the Bears did against the Packers. Oh, bad coaching. They're 0 for 3 on 4th down. Well, then they had the confidence. They trusted their offense, and they got it done in the second half. And we weren't asking the Redbirds to go for it on 4th and 3, 4th and 6, 4th and 8. 4th and 2 feet to control that clock and win a gosh dang national championship. And they couldn't do it. Thank you. Thank you very much. You made my year a lot better. So I don't know why I'm so upset about it.
I mean, either way, for those of us that were not there that watched at home, great game. Just popcorn type of game. Like I said, one of the best games I've watched in a long time. Definitely the best national championship game I've seen in a decade. It was just overall a great experience. The Bobcats get it done. They get to hoist the trophy. The Big Sky gets to claim their first national championship since 2010. It's been a long time, man. So now Eastern fans, including Kyler, don't have that claim to fame anymore. Bobcats get it done. And like you said, a lot of key pieces coming back for the Bobcats next season. And of course, Brent Vigen is still there as well, which I think matters a lot. Brent Vigen has done nothing but win in Bozeman, and so it matters a lot. So let's move on to a final couple bits here. Let's talk about our way too early prediction for 2026. Parlay, what do you have? Do you see the Bobcats repeating? Is this sort of I mean, they did have a good run. They took care of business, but they did get lucky in some situations where they needed to, and matchups matter in football, especially FCS football. How do you see 2026 playing out going into that 2027 national championship game in Nashville?
Again, I'm not watching the portal, but I think North Dakota State losing is going to refocus them. They, they're used to winning. It's like when Jordan came back from baseball and lost in the playoffs, he was not going to let his team lose the next year. So someone in that organization is going to be too proud to lose like that again. So North Dakota State's making it to a semifinal. Montana State would be a huge letdown if they didn't make it to the semifinals. And South Dakota State obviously is in play. One or two more Valley teams in play. Montana, they've got Ayat back. I think Gilman's back. They got a lot of talent back. They've got to reload in the portal too. I think even more so than the Bobcats in some ways. But it's going to come down to home field. And sometimes that takes scheduling. It takes luck. After the Bobcats lost to South Dakota State in the first game of the year, who would have really and then they had, a game at Washington Grizzly at the end of the year staring down the barrel at. Who would have thought the Bobcats would have had a 2 seed? Nova, Davis, all those teams, who would have thought they'd get home games throughout their side if they wouldn't have lost to, Illinois State. It comes down to home field for the top teams. Obviously, the overrated teams like Tarleton, it doesn't matter. But
I think it's unfair.
Teams
I think Tarleton was a good team. I don't think they were overrated.
Yeah. Well, okay, you do bring up a good. Illinois State's the second best team. Tarleton could easily be a top 5 team. They just, Nova was good. Illinois State was much better than them. Yeah, so
matchups matter. I mean, style matters.
Styles matter. It's just that's what it comes down to in the playoffs: the matchups and the style. And if the Dakota or the Montana teams get a home field in the semifinal, they're not going to lose. They're just not going to lose. This year, I would like our chances at the Grizz in the playoffs, but anyone else goes to Missoula to play this year, they're losing. Look at what they did to South Dakota and South Dakota State. So matchups, it's going to be 2 or 3 Valley teams, 2 probably Big Sky teams. I don't know if Idaho's going to make a comeback yet, if Davis is going to stay strong. Pinnock's gone, right?
Pinnock is transferring, which is a huge blow to them because Pinnock was a great freshman quarterback. It looked like they had a guy that was going to be there, their signal caller, and they were going to be somebody, and losing Pinnock hurts them, I think, a lot.
The UCA is looking like they're staying pretty steady. SFA, there's a couple teams that have a chance to jump out. But again, do you see them going to Missoula or Bozeman or Brookings or Fargo and winning in the quarters or the semis?
I think it's hard to predict, right? Because I think if you had started, everybody would have said that Illinois State's losing in Fargo in the second round, right? Everybody would have said that. And then it didn't happen. So it's always very, very difficult to say, there's nobody on paper that, is going to go to Missoula and lose. I mean, I think a good example is look at Montana losing to Weber State last year or 2 years ago, right? Like, that's a dumb loss. It's just a dumb loss. And nobody on paper had Weber State beating the Grizz in Missoula with that team. But it happened. Weird stuff happens. I think that the bigger thing to think about is when teams play throughout the season matters a lot. Like, I think that if this Montana State team plays that South Dakota State team in November versus in, August or early September, it's different. It's different, right? And that kind of stuff matters. And so it's the kind of thing that good teams get better throughout the season, and barring injuries, bad teams don't. And that's the difference. So timing matters. But, to respond to some of these folks in the comments here, I agree with the Rev. Tarleton was not overrated. I think that they were a good team. It was a bad matchup. I think about 2018 Weber State versus Maine, right? Everything looks like Weber State's going to face Eastern Washington the next week in Ogden, but styles matter, and Weber State could not get it done against that Maine offense that night in 2018. And then Maine goes on to face Eastern Washington, who just handles them, right? Like, it's not a game at all. And so matchups matter. It was a bad one for the Texans. They lost to Nova, and it is what it is. But the Revs got me maybe buying some of this SFA stock right now. So I guess we'll see. But I'm in there.
It's always fun to have these upstarts. That's why it is the Valley. But it was fun to have the Redbirds come from where they did, have that story of 4 road games in a row. Because no one expected them to. I mean, they were still over 20-1 even after they beat the Bison, because they had to go on the road 2 more times. So it's great when it's not just MSU, UM, XDSU, right? I like it when it was fun when the Bison lost to everyone but the Bison fans, because it opened up that side of the bracket, in
a way that it hadn't in a decade, right? They
exactly.
Just like, aside from the weird COVID playoff season, like, I mean, it hadn't been that open in a long time, and especially that early, right?
Yeah. But I don't know when the last time a home team with over 10,000 fans has lost a semifinal. I can't remember. Was it when the Grizz beat JMU? Was that a semifinal or a quarterfinal? I know there's been some bigger quarterfinal road upsets in the last 15 years, 20 years. But but the MSU fans were loud at Vandy, and I even joked with some friends. It's like, Illinois State keeps winning on the road. Should we be quiet when they're on offense?
Let's make them uncomfortable. No, man.
Is that a semifinal, JMU? Anyway. Yeah, so my prediction, gosh, I think Montana State makes the championship. Barring injuries, like they had the season from hell in 23. So barring injuries, I see Montana State back in Nashville, and then it depends on matchups, just like you said. We got to figure out how to tighten up our game plan too, because we can't let a team back in like that. We maybe have to run the ball a little more, control the clock, but yeah.
I mean, it's worth pointing out, right, that like the Cats were down to their last play in overtime, right, and it was what, 4th and 10. Like the Cats in some ways got lucky, right? Because in spite of everything that happened, they were still in a position where their back was against the wall. They came through, and that's what it takes sometimes. But a tip of the cap to the Redbirds, because they were one play away from being national champions in spite of everything that we've talked about here tonight.
One play several times, and so many things had to go right at the end for the Bobcats. As dominant as they looked in the first 3 quarters, so many things had to go right for them to win that game. it still seems surreal. It seems surreal. Like, it was hard to even let it set in because so much of that fourth quarter seemed like the Bobcats were going to lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that happened there where it was just like, wow, like the Cats are collapsing, and like you said, those long grinding drives by the Redbirds really did a number on that Montana State defense throughout that fourth quarter especially. So, Parlay, final thoughts, man, before we say goodbye to the fans for this end of the 2025-2026 season?
It just no more college football. FBS championship.
One more. Yeah, one more.
It's next year. I hope to see you on the road. I hope to see you in Nashville. Plan ahead.
Plan ahead.
That's all I'm going to say. If you want to watch your team in the playoffs, do some predicting. All right. Look at the futures. Look at the schedule. Get the refundable hotel. Get the refundable plane ticket. Plan ahead. Don't put yourself in a position where you say, I can't go to Nashville because it's $1,400 round trip. All right. Don't put yourself in a position where I can't watch Cat Grizz playoffs or whatever your team are because you can't afford the hotel last minute. Plan ahead. All right. Get those. There's non-refundable hotel rooms and non-refundable plane tickets. Do it. I want to see you all in Nashville.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I would definitely like to see my team play in the playoffs again because, man, 2022 is starting to feel like a long time ago, man, like a long time ago. But, yeah, like you said, plan ahead. I mean, they announce when the game is, and regardless of whether your team is there or not, it's a fun time to go. The Weber State Wildcats have never played in the national championship game, and, I went anyway, and it was a good time. It's good to chat with folks that you talk to online throughout the year. So plan ahead, get there. Nashville's a fun town, and I'll see you folks there next year.
Start saving today.
Yeah. All right, Parlay.
Gets you to Nashville.
Yeah. I've got some tricks too. I mean, like I said, my job is still in Nashville, so I got some hacks to get to Nashville that maybe most folks don't know. So if you want some hacks on how to get to Nashville for cheap, send me a DM and I'll share my knowledge with you. All right, folks. Well, that's it. We really appreciate you spending some time with us on 1AA Parlays throughout the playoffs. It was good to chat with everybody. Good to have at least had an opportunity to kind of go through these playoffs with you, even though we didn't necessarily do this throughout the season. So, with that, we'll wrap it up and say good luck to your teams in the offseason. And we look forward to seeing everybody in Nashville next year. Assembly Food Hall was great. Was that a good rec, by the way? Was that a good rec or what?
Nation, so many options. Prince's Hot Chicken. I didn't have Hattie B's, but I think they have them in Chicago.
If you had Prince's, you had the superior chicken. It's fine.
We went to a brunch place that was outside of Nashville. That was pretty dang good. The food was Hutchins. I missed Hutchins from Frisco, but the food in Nashville,
good barbecue,
all around, good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, there was one across the street from Pete's Piano Bar that I went to. I can't remember it. Reach out to me when you're setting up your trip to Nashville next year, and I'll remember the good spots. And I need to see some more.
Hattie B's, the Rudy's barbecue of hot chicken.
I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's a Southern reference.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we hope to see everybody down there next year. But until then, we'll see folks throughout the off season, and we'll look forward to more FCS football when August rolls around again. So with that, thanks, folks, for hanging out with us, and we will see you in a few months.
See you in Reno, Bobcat fans.
See you in Reno.
Jeff Choate.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making a conference tournament joke, and I was like, brother,
no.
Tournament has been in Boise for 8 years.
And Nevada, first game of the year next year.
Yep. So for the Bobcat fans, First roadie against the former Grizz Slayer. See you folks out there. And then I don't even. I'd have to go look at where Weber State Wildcat. Oh, we're playing Boulder. That's where we're playing. So yeah. So if you're a Weber State Wildcat fan, see you in Boulder next year or a little bit later. All right, folks. We'll see you. Good to hang.